All right, guys, we're back here on Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel, previewing tonight's matchup between Alabama and Gonzaga. This one's going to take place 8:30 p.m. Central on TNT. I think, Max, if we look at the schedule for the day, I assume that start time could probably be a little more flexible. Don't know if they'll start at 8:30 Central. We'll find out, but we know there are other games being played there, of course, as well. But we're going to get into this one. Before we do, let's tell you about our friends over at GameTime Sidekicks, officially licensed stainless steel drinkware. Every SEC school is there. Over 350 more universities as well. If you're a Zags fan, hop on over there, buy some cups. They got everything from stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, 40-ounce bottles, shaker cups. They got it all. SE16 for 20% off. Over at GameTime Sidekicks, use our code, get a nice little discount with our friends at GameTimeSidekicks.com. All right, Max, I mentioned it. Alabama, we are presented by FanDuel. Right now, as I'm looking at it, the Zags are 4.5-point favorites. It's a minus 102 on that, so probably going to see that number swap back to 3.5. But yes, the Zags minus 4.5 over at FanDuel. The over/under 174.5 on this one. Anything notable that catches your eye as we start looking at this matchup?
Yeah, just a slight angle that you can pull from the odds here. Looking at the VSiN data, 65% of bets and 67% of money is on the Alabama underdog side. So you've got a slight public side with Alabama. Not too surprising. People have seen the Illinois game. They saw the St. John's MSG game. Alabama's been in a few top 10 matchups now. So no surprise that the public a little bit more inclined to take the Tide catching a few points. However, the books moving that out to 4.5, trying to get a little bit of extra cash on this Alabama side, coming from a bettor's angle, that does favor the Zags just slightly.
All right, so we know this is game 4 of what has been a gauntlet for Alabama the past 16 days. They played St. John's, won on the road, 103-96. They lost to Purdue at home, 87-80 in that one. Then they played the game against Illinois in Chicago, 90-86. The Tide win that one. Here's a question I'm going to open with, all right? Of those three teams, which one most resembles the Zags? I think I have my answer. I'm curious what your answer would be. I think one is completely eliminated, but I think the other two could be up for debate. Because I just don't think Purdue and the Zags are the exact same just because of the difference in pace. But
yeah,
maybe St. John's or Illinois.
The pace difference with Purdue is too much, but you do have the back to the basket angle with Clough and TKR where St. John's, has the Zuby factor where Illinois, a little bit less back to the basket. I'd say St. John's is more like the Zags than Illinois is.
That's what I was thinking.
With the way they use Zuby, kind of similar to how the Zags are going to use Huff and EK down low, where Illinois with the Ivisic brothers, not too much back to the basket action. You do get a little bit of that with Mirkovic and some of the international like fours that Illinois was having. But I'd say St. John's and then just the down low matchup against TKR and Clough. You can draw some similarities there, but the huge difference, and tempo is going to be a huge topic of this breakdown. Huge difference in tempo from the Purdue game, where Purdue was not going to let Alabama get out and run. Similar to Illinois and St. John's, both teams here, they've got the opportunity to run. They're going and ripping.
Yeah, we have seen the Zags against, I wouldn't say elite competition just yet. 83-68 win against Oklahoma. They beat Creighton 90-63. They won at Arizona State 77-65. Then 2 blowout wins against Texas Southern and Southern Utah. I think, the stat everyone's kind of pointed out here when you just look at the percentage of where these two teams are getting their points. Obviously, Alabama 39.6% from 3 right now. That's top 35. Nationally, the Zags getting 61.7% of their points thus far from 2, which is in the top 6 nationally. I think it's going to be interesting, like you said, to really see how these two teams match up and just approach things, because you kind of know what to expect with what these two want to do offensively. Like you kind of know, like you understand what the two coaches have sort of pushed throughout their careers, and you just know the kind of shots that they're going to value in this kind of game. I think that's obviously one with Alabama. where we talked about it. I mean, they're not shooting a great percentage from three. It's just the volume. Like they're
Mhm.
shooting 34%, but it's just the number of threes that they're going to wind up making based on how many attempts they have. Went 13 to 36 against Illinois. We've obviously seen them shoot it really well in terms of just, again, the volume and knowing that at any time, if they're just hitting from three, like all of a sudden you're playing catch up. And that's where Max in a game like this, if you're trading twos and threes, well, one of those may wind up being better than the other.
Definitely. I think the turnover battle here, Blake, is going to get overlooked by the rebounding battle, just with how elite the Zags are around the rim and how Alabama, if you've watched a single Nate Oates press conference this season, rebounding, he's been all over it. Really liked the effort last time out, but rebounding for Alabama has been a work in progress where the Zags are killing teams. Turnovers, Blake. Gonzaga opponent turnovers 23, 10, 18, 16, and 17. Creighton, 18 turnovers. Oklahoma, a
Mm-hmm.
decent offense, 16 turnovers. They're averaging 17 forced turnovers a game. Alabama right now offensively has been phenomenal at protecting the ball. Only 9.5 turnovers per game. They only coughed it up 7 in that Purdue game, or in the St. John's game, up and down. Only 6 turnovers in the Purdue game. Had 10 against Illinois. The ability for the Alabama guards to take care of the ball, Blake, I think could be the number one storyline in this game. You've got Aden Holloway right now, turnover rate of 5%. Last year, that was up at 15. It was much, much stronger on the ball, much calmer. If Alabama is able to take care of the ball, I think that puts them in a great position. If Gonzaga is able to start forcing turnovers, getting out and running, and you get those bigs rim running, EK easy baskets, not ideal for the Tide.
That is probably the clearest difference with this Zags team so far. Now remember, we don't have a large sample size. They played 5 games. But if you look at it statistically, and we always talk about our Ken Palm Christmas trees and all the green and all the red. Obviously the green has kind of stayed in the same stuff throughout Mark Few's career there. Like they've always been an efficient offensive team. Defense usually very efficient. Take care of the ball, a team that just doesn't beat itself a lot. They've always had great 2-point percentage offense. Three can vary a little bit, but the one area where it is just like, what a difference. You said it, like 22.7% turnover percentage defense right now. That's 26th in the country. They have not finished higher than 113th in that category for a season since Mark Few took over there, 1999-2000 season, right? So that is just a wild thing to think about. Now, again, there's no guarantee they're going to finish in the top 25 in that category. It's a long season, but right now, that is, I mean, last year was the 113 one, and so everything beyond that, like you've had some where they just not forced hardly any turnovers at all. So that will be a big story in this one. But you also mentioned the other one for me, and that is just inconsistency has been a theme for Alabama rebounding the ball,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's going to be one where if we come out of this game and the Zags win, let's say by 8-10, something like that, I guarantee you the first thing I'm going to look at, and you could just, if you don't even watch the game, first thing you should look at in the box score, what was the rebounding? Because again, we said it, like Alabama lost to Purdue getting out rebounded by 24, but Alabama had a chance to win the game with about a minute and a half to go. And so I think it's one of those things where when you have that kind of rebounding performance, you have to make up for it in other areas, and that's where you need a lot to go right if you're not able to be as competitive as you need to be on the glass. And so that is absolutely an area where I think, like you said, maybe turnovers could be one, rebounding 1A, and that really could be the thing that decides this game is those two things right there. Because I mean, otherwise, Max, it's like you expect the stars to be the stars in this game. Philon should have a great game. EK should have a great game. But yeah, I think it's going to come down to those two areas. And
One aspect of the Zags that I think is underrated coming into the season, their positional size. Steel Venters at 6'7". You've got Tyon Grant Foster at 6'7". Jalen Warley at 6'7". By the way, little wrinkle into this game. Jalen Warley and Taylor Bull Bowen 2 years
mhm.
ago were on the same team at Florida State. We got a little teammate on teammate here. Revenge factor, maybe on the wing there, a little stretch four action if they bump Warley up. Could see some TBB on Warley ex teammate possessions. That'll be pretty cool. But Blake, when you're looking at the most frequent lineups for the Zags so far this season, their second most frequent lineup has Steele Venters at the 2 at 6'7", Jalen Worley 6'7", Tyon Grant Foster 6'7". That's a lot of positional size against an Alabama team last time out that played 4 guards for the whole second half. Now, it was against a tall Illinois team, but still, this is an Alabama team that's going to play a lot of guards. Could be the difference in this game was Amari Allen, maybe a little bit of London Jemison, and those versatile guys for Alabama. They're going to have to match this positional size.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with my same X factors for Alabama that I think I did in the previous game, and that was, I think, Amari Allen and, of course, Bristow playing. I mean, that was something we didn't know. If he was going to play in that game against Illinois, he did, and obviously gave them significant minutes. So, yeah, I think those two guys are probably in the same spot here. Like, they have to be significant contributors in this game. And, yeah, I think that's a gimme. You have to be able to get good production from those guys just based on everything that the Zags are going to throw at you. But, all right, picks.
We ready? Ready to get the picks?
I mean, look, I'm never ready to make picks. We all know, like, it is fade Blake season when it comes to my picks right now. So you're probably not going to be surprised by the methodology I'm going to use to make my pick here in a second.
So the Zags are coming off of their largest margin of victory over a Division I opponent ever. 122-50 win over Southern Utah is the Zags' largest margin of victory over a D1 opponent ever. If you don't think this Zags team has got a little bit of a different edge to them than the past few years, you haven't seen them play yet. There's a little bit something different about this Zags team. They got the international point guard, Saint-Supery. He's going to be trying to make life absolute hell for Philon. The thing, though, is I don't think the Zags have seen an aggressive backcourt like this yet. Oklahoma, Pack, and Brown, very content to just stay on the perimeter. Creighton, Graves, Dix, not too aggressive. Arizona State, Mo Odom's point guard, didn't shoot one free throw. Philon, Holloway, Reitzel, these guards are going to be non-stop. So I think the Zags defense is going to see something they haven't seen. I like Alabama on the +4, if that's what it sticks at. I'll go Zags to win here. I think the Zags are going to have the more consistent rim offense. But 4 points for an Alabama team that's already played 3 top 10 teams and has looked pretty dang good every time. And that's a lot. I don't know. I'll take Zags on a non-confident money line.
The Zags are the second most experienced team in the country per Ken Palm. Again, they've been a machine to this point. Very simple, like emotional hedge part 7, 8, whatever it is on the season max. I'll pick the Zags, but we're going emotional hedge over at FanDuel and going Alabama plus 4.5. Yeah, that's the play for me. It's worked out every time before. I picked Alabama to lose to St. John's, emotional hedge, Alabama won. Picked Alabama to beat Purdue, emotional hedge, Purdue won. Like, it's just Alabama fans are saying, do not pick us, please. So I'll go Zags too in this one, but Alabama over at FanDuel is the play.
Yeah, if you can find 4, this should be a pick 'em. 4 is a little disrespectful in my opinion.
I'd say you probably should get your 4.5 now. By the time you're watching this, I don't even know if that 4.5 will be there. All right, but again, there you go. Some thoughts. We don't know who's going to win this game. Should be a great basketball game.
It's going to be one of the best
enjoy.
Games.
Yeah, it should be fantastic. I had this in my basket and review column last week. I had this as the number 1 game for me in SEC action during Feast Week. A lot of good games on the schedule, but for me, this is number 1. So should be fantastic. 2 great coaches, 2 great teams, and we'll see how it plays out in Vegas. Of course, if you want to buy some jewelry, what a transition that was. Head over to the Yearly Company, Nashville-based fine jewelry. Just incredible stuff they got. Solid 14-karat gold bangles over there. Every bangle they have custom size, so you got to know that size. That's where they come in by giving you 100% off at checkout using our code SE16KIT. SE16KIT, if you're getting ready for the holiday shopping, Black Friday coming up, all this other stuff, get that size right now. You need to know it. So SE16KIT, 100% off, free over at the Yearly Company, that sizing kit. We appreciate them for that great offer. And our friends at ROKFORM, ROKFORM.com, the world's strongest magnetic phone case. Extreme protection, super strong magnets, rock lock, secure mounting. check out everything they got going on over there. Cases, accessories, SEC25 is the code, SEC25, 25% off over at ROKFORM. All right, give us your score predictions as always in the comments. Who wins? Alabama, the Zags, in Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas unless you get a big W. That stays on your resume for the entire season.
Yes.
What a win. It'll be for either squad. Let us know your predictions in the comments. Thanks as always for watching. We'll talk to you soon at Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel.